言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ。
俺様はまだまだ元気だね。何これ、ハヤブサシュートだ。
Hey guys, how's it going? There's Nothing Excess here with a player analysis video. We're going to be talking about the Dream Collection with Ryo Ishizaki and Shun Nitta. This one just dropped recently. It was announced a couple of days ago. We're wondering how good Ishizaki and Nitta were going to be. And now we finally have answers to those questions. Also in the banner were included the hidden ability evolutions for Nankatsu Tsubasa, also known as Nanbasa, and Refound Fangs Hyuga. So we're going to go ahead and cover all four and see what they are about. First up, we've got Ryo Ishizaki, Nankatsu Defender's True Nature. Now, Blue Japan for a very long time kind of didn't really have a good blocker. You had Jito, and that was pretty much it. But Jito doesn't have a whole lot of stamina, and his skills are expensive. You can't really have both of those things. You can deal with one or the other, but not both. And since he could also be easily wide passed over too, because he didn't have a whole lot of interception, that made it kind of rough. But you know what? If you're a Blue Japan player, you don't have to worry anymore. Ishizaki comes not just with auto block, which is whatever, but he comes with auto pass cut, and they're both on the same passive, and they both have 70% activation rate. Couple that with the fact that Ryo Ishizaki could also learn an EX interception which you could farm in a raid right now, you know, like immediately, right this second, and you've got like probably a combination of skills that winds up creating like one of the best defenders in the entire game. He's certainly probably the best defender in the entire game, with Jito being up there and some other characters being up there. You know, because I actually think that people undervalue Jito a lot when he's actually really good now, especially with his passive. Anyways, pros: he's got an auto pass cut and, you know, also auto block. At 70%, he's got a 10.1k block and a 10.4k intercept. He has decent skill support for the things he wants to do, including an EX pass cut for pass cutting, which is something you can teach him for now until you decide that you're going to level up his S1. And now, for cons, great dribblers don't particularly care that you're good at blocking and pass cutting, because you can't really bully all of them, especially not the really strong ones. His team skill is pretty much whatever, and also since speed doesn't help any of his primary skills, and speed is something that pass cutters, and especially auto pass cutters, really want, you kind of have to make like a difficult decision on the limit break. For me, the limit break would just be block, power, intercept, technique, all 25. There is an argument for taking a little less intercept at 22.3 and 25 speed so that you can get to balls a lot easier. There is an argument also for 22.3 block instead of intercept, and then doing the 25 points of speed. So it really depends on whether you value being able to position your central defender a lot faster. I don't think it's really that important because of the nature of central defenders kind of always being in the right place at the right time all the time, especially in formations with 3 back defenders. Now for his stats, we've got 974 stamina, and you can see he's on an offensive black hole. His highest is 7.8 pass, which is not too terrible, but it's not great. For defense, he's got a 7.8 tackle, which is roughly the same as pass, but again, 10.1k block, 10.4k intercept. That's pretty good. He doesn't have any extra bonuses for high and low ball. It is what it is in that regard. Now for his skill build, he has S determined intercept. That's his main skill. That's what he comes with. He also, I would keep the A face block and the A determined defense, because why not? And then I would teach him A forcible interception EX and then S face block. Now if you have an old S face block at a very good level lying around, it's worth teaching it here. Otherwise, you're better off just maxing out A face block and then forget S face block. Now if you do have a spare S new face block, that's better because it's cheaper and stronger than just S face block. I would give him A forcible interception EX in the meantime while you level his main S cut, and then eventually once your S cut is a higher level, I would take off forcible interception EX, because there seems to be some kind of a bug where the actual automatic skill that's used is the one that's higher level, not the one with higher power or momentum. This guy's going to be really hard to shake off up the middle of the field because of the auto pass cut. He is a defender and also a clogger. He cuts passes, and that's the job of people who clog the field. I would rate him a double S. I think he's crazy good. If you want to go for broke on a banner and you needed a blue defender, now is the time to do it. Next up, we have Shun Nitta, Otomo Middle School's ace. He's kind of a weird unit to release at this point in time in 2019. He doesn't have very good skills, Nitta, at all, anyway. So S non-trap running volley falcon shot that he comes with isn't particularly impressive because it caps out at 440, and that's kind of low for a Dream Collection character, but you gotta look a little bit further than that, right? So his passive buffs his low shot special skills by 40%, which is wild. He already is good at low balls, which is another 12.5%, which is great. And when you limit break him fully on shot, he hits 80,828 shot without team skill. If you put him in a 40% team skill, that's 113,159 shot. There are almost no goalkeepers that could deal with that. It's just very difficult without having S99 and good positioning and all this other stuff. So yeah, that's crazy strong. You could do a lot worse than firing off this Nitta's shot. So if you get him, I wouldn't feel too bad, especially if you already run red. Because let's be real, like the goalkeepers that are going to stop that have to be double S rank goalkeepers. It has to be Genzo, it has to be Mueller. Those are the only people who can really hang with this guy's volley. So for pros, again, insanely powerful volley shooter. He beats a large amount of other forwards' ability to shoot because of that. And he's acceptable at dribbling. You know he's not bad. Now for cons, despite the fact he has good skill support, he's not really good at anything else, which is disappointing for a Dream Collection unit, but it's not unheard of. The team skill is just a basic 7% red. You're not going to be bringing him on to help your other red units buff-wise. He has low stamina, and the most comparable character to this character would be Hidden Ability Misaki, and he does that much better with an A skill, which is much easier to max. For a limit break, I'll do 25 in dribble, speed, shot, and power. That's really all you're going to need, as you can see in his stats. He has 914 stamina, not a whole lot. His stats look all kind of mediocre except for his shot, which is 10.1k. And his dribble is 8k, which is not much. Everything else is under 7.5. It's not a good look. He doesn't really do much else other than shoot low balls. So use him to shoot low balls. For his skill build, he comes with non-trap running volley falcon shot. Keep that one. If you have a spare Dreamfest version, you could teach him S high speed running falcon shots. You have something you could do on the ground. And also finally, he has a high speed. You should make sure he has high speed dribble, high speed tackle, and a falcon pass. He's not really good at passing, tackling, or dribbling really. There's really not much else to give there after the 2 shots on the dribble. So giving him the pass and the tackle are pretty much probably one of the best things you're gonna do. He's going to be really straightforward to play. He's going to run to the box and wait for your team to provide service. It's important to give him service so that your team can sink relatively powerful cannonball volleys into the back of your opponent's goals. You're going to have someone who can really bring the ball up, either with a really good 1-2 skill, stuff like that. So for a low ball striker, I do believe he's like an A rank. I think Hidden Ability Misaki does his job a little bit better, but it's harder to position because of the nature of how the central attacking midfielder positions himself. But I don't think it's that hard for the majority of teams. It's just that people don't really know how to do it yet, so they'd rather just complain about it. Now for Tsubasa Ozora, champion of Nankatsu, or as we like to call him, Nanbasa, you gotta remember, he's an old unit. He was one of the most sought after player cards in the game upon the game's release. He had some of the highest stats of any attacking midfielder at the time. And after he had that and he got his 20% Japanese killer passive, he kind of maintained a mostly respectable, although secondary role in the meta until today. And that's primarily because his stats weren't quite enough to make him like super good. But now he has 700 more points in each offensive category and an amazing set of debuffs built into his hidden ability kit. So Tsubasa is not just the nightmare of Japanese players, but also he's the nightmare of non-Japanese players because of the way his debuffs work. They debuff all non-Japanese players on the field, even if he's not in the matchup. Really, all the players on the opposing team are just trying to live a good, honest life, and here comes Nanbasa just ruin everything. Life sucks, guys. For his pros, he's pretty much a 10.5k shooter. He's good enough at passing with 9k, and his dribble is respectable. Drive shots, an okay shot, albeit not the best, and he still has amazing skill support. For cons, he's not particularly great on defense, although he can pass cut if you teach it to him. He's still not enough to make him scary to any goalkeeper. Although he does kind of threaten a little bit better now that he either deals 20% more attack to a Japanese goalkeeper, or conversely against a non-Japanese goalkeeper, he will debuff them by 5%, which is it's more significant than you think. Now, Drive shot's still a 4850 skill, and there's a lot of other better ones, so it feels mistimed or mismatched, but you know, it's what he's got, so it's what you gotta use. And his team skill is only interesting for experiments because that 15% to middle schoolers team skill, which is kind of weird. For his limit break, do 22 dribble, 3 speed, 25 shot, 25 power, 22 pass, 3 technique. It's probably the best. It's just a generic attacker's limit break. You could do 20 speed, 5 dribble also if you wanted to make him go faster, but I don't think he needs it that much. It's really up to you. For his hidden abilities, he learns opponent stats -2 and opponent stats -3, and they both specifically work with non-Japanese players. So I lumped them both together because they're the same category of players and of stats, and they're additive, so it's actually a total of -5% stats. Basically, as long as this guy is on the team, all of your opponent's non-Japanese players are at all times 5% weaker than they should be, unless like a character like True Captain Tsubasa is out there, who's the only like team shield in the game right now. I don't think anyone really understands how strong it is to just nuke someone's stats by 5%, because that 5% is more than the 5% that they add, because the 5% that they add via team skills is based on their base stats, and you're applying the 5% to their total stats, so it's actually, it's better for you. For other hidden abilities, he has bumpy ground resistance, wild cool beans. He gets all stats +2 to his team, but it's only 7% of the time. It's only to other middle schoolers, which is weird, but whatever. And then finally he has recover, which Misugi got it, and Tsubasa was definitely one of the most characters to most often get up from the ground and keep going in middle school, so it's an appropriate thematically hidden ability, and it's appropriate because recover is broken. So now it's just like the last Misugi, this guy, and the Blue World Cup cults that have this, so that's interesting. Now for his stamina, he's got 1167, and for the rest of his stats, they culminate in about 8.1k dribble, which is nice, 9k pass, and basically 10.5k shot. But also his block is pretty whatever, like it's good, but he doesn't learn any block, so who cares? But he does have 8.300 intercept, which is nice, you know, that's usable. Also, he's good at high and low ball, so he gets a 12.5% buff to anything he does with those. For skill build, obviously you got to keep drive shot, but if you have a S golden duo, you could give it there, or if you have an A1, that also works. I would teach him A South American dribble because that's probably one of the better dribbles you could do. Santana turn is fine, but you know, it's got limitations. South American dribble, even though it's a little more expensive, is also significantly more strong, so that is what it is, significantly stronger. Give him A drive pass if you can get it, and then, you know, A swift interception if you can get it. There's not a whole lot of selections for skills for a character like this, so just focus what he's good at. He's alright at intercepting in matches, pretty decent passer, so you can dump the ball off if you get in trouble with any enemies, and he debuffs the opponent's non-Japanese players. It's a really nice thing to have going on when you're trying to do your thing. There's a lot of those things you could do, but keep your stamina safe primarily for when you go on offense. Don't be out here just spamming your swift interception. For the love of God, don't give him V3 interception. He's not the kind of character to put it on. That's more for like Tsubasa if you must do that, or you know, other units like maybe the Samurai Green Tsubasa if for some reason you gotta do that. Finally, we have Kojiro Hyuga, Refound Fangs, basically right on Nambasa's heels as Refound Hyuga. Very long time was a joke pull that you could get and you felt really bad about getting him. I'm here to tell you that that hasn't changed. He's not very good. Hidden abilities do give him access to interesting things like Stamina Killer, and they do help debuff foreign players by 2%, which you could add to, you know, like the Tsubasa we just talked about, and make your opponents even weaker. But you know, also he has that same middle school 2% buff, which only works 70% of the time. You know, I don't know what designer came up with that stuff. Anyways, he's still stuck with a shot that's an A shot as a main skill, and they just couldn't think to buff him more than only in 700 in his attack power and like his attack stats, which is probably not great. You know, he just feels superfluous. He just feels like the entire game has left him behind, and I mean, honestly, originally that was the case. So it's not that the game is left behind, it's that the game just never came back to pick him up, even now. Pros, I mean, he's a 9.9k shooter, whatever. Stamina cost down, passive, kind of helps him be pretty spammy. And sometimes he'll now be 10% better too, thanks to another hidden ability. And he weakens all their opponent non-Japanese players, but only by a little bit. And for cons, he's like the 83rd best shooter, which is wow. His team skills only interested for experiments because it's again the middle school buff, and it kind of really depends on being played with a lot of middle schoolers with buffs to be good, and also like giving him a skill like a Raiju or something like that. But whatever. For a limit break, I do 22-3 dribble speed, 25-25 shot power, and 22-3 pass and technique. Standard forward build. Maybe give him some more speed. It's up to you. You know, I always talk about that. Speed is also a viable build. For his hidden abilities, he got stats -2 for all opponents. All non-Japanese opponents that face this Hyuga get nerfed by 2%. For another one, he's got stamina killer. And I do believe it's 15%, so that's nice. Anytime you get into an engagement with him, you can just take your stamina. And then he's got bumping ground resistance, huzzah. All stats +2, just like Nambasa, where it only helps like middle schoolers, which is whatever. And then all special skills force 10%, which is nice, and it's been nice now that I have the Brian for it, or the Brian that has it. But it has a 70% activation rate, which is not great. And so Hyuga is not really all that interesting just yet because of that result. For stats, he's got 1077 stamina. He comes also equipped with 9.9k shot, and everything else might as well not even be discussed. Everything is 7.9k or lower, and really the 7.900 is actually the blocker. The next best unit was, the next best stat was pass, and then it's just really bad, frankly. Looking at his skill build, you can't do anything about A Tiger Shot. I'm so sorry. You could rock A straight line dribble if you wanted. I would give him S Raiju Shot to complement the A Tiger Shot, which I guess might be okay if you leveled it all the way and use it to harass goalies when you're trying to conserve stamina. A Tiger Pass is also a skill that you're going to want to have on him, even though he can't really use it to perfection. It's because you're going to claim stuff and you might want to get into contention with other people. I'm not entirely sure, man. Just do it is what you got to do. Fierce Tiger Tackle, whack, whatever. There's just nothing else to give him. There's not a lot here to do with this guy except give him Raiju Shot, hope for the best. That's it. He's not particularly great. I can't even think of him being a bench unit. Maybe if you're trying to do full middle school and you use his team skill, but even then, just wow. I don't know what to say with this guy. Anyways, y'all, thanks very much for coming on here and checking out this video. If you enjoyed, please remember to click like on the video itself. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought. Tell me what you think of the new characters. As always, you can also go ahead and if you want to watch more of these, you can click the subscribe button on the bottom right, right under the video, and you can click the little bell to make sure that you get notified. And if you want to support the channel, you can click, you could go to gaming.youtube.com/nothingxs instead of just youtube.com/nothingxs. Just add gaming dot at the beginning. And on my profile page, there should be a join button on the right side, and that will let you join, gain membership into the channel. And that will give you, there's a couple perks I already explained to people. They could ask me questions whenever they want. If you need Team Doctor, that's viable. And then soon, when I'm starting to like need more material, I will be asking people, hey, what do you want to watch? And I'm going to primarily take the polls from the people who are members because, they're supporting. So I guess they kind of like get first dibs. It is what it is. Anyways, thanks guys for checking out, and I hope to see you soon.